Hey, what's up, guys? I got Atil here. He got top 64 with his Frogmonarch deck at the, what is it called? The NAWCQ Ultimate Time Wizard Tournament this past weekend. So we're going to go ahead and profile it today.
Yeah, so that weekend I played Frogs. I played Frogmonarch, so straight up. I'll pick the deck over Hero Frogs. I just like the consistency of it. But yeah, a couple of my insights and takeaways. So first of all, obviously, 3 swap. Can't avoid it. It's like the card that you want to essentially, if you can, run 6 of in a way, which you do. That's why you run the Substitutes. So it's standard Frog package with 2 dupes, 2 Treeborns, and then I do run a Unifrog. So I like the Unifrog just because, you know, you run into a lot of back row. Being able to poke away, I've just been able to win so many games off people who are just setting 2 cards and passing, and then I'll be able to get into like a dupe and then Unifrog situation where they're just minusing every single time if they can't put a monster on board, and I have protection set up and I have a lot of follow-up on my big plays I need. So it's a great card. That's why I like keeping it in there. Didn't decide to play the flip-flop Frog. I feel like it's a good card, but sometimes I feel like my opponents just get a little bit too much value out of it. So ended up cutting that and just keeping the Unifrog in.
Cool. He had to get the OTs.
Of course.
The OT Treeborn. Okay. And you got the mat too, right? From your tickets. Yep.
Of course, had to get the Monarch mat. Speaking of the Monarchs, I got 3 Caius, 3 Ryza, and 2 Thestalos.
So how did this work out for you?
This card was actually nuts. I was a little bit surprised at how lucky I got with some of the rips too. There was like one Red Eyes player, and I ended up ripping the Red Eyes from his hand, and he had no follow-up afterwards. I ended up burning him for 1,000. And then this also, actually, I sided this in every single time in game 3 whenever we got close in time. I ended up, time never ended up really mattering that much, where this card was the deciding factor, but there was one point where we only had like a minute left on the clock. I played this, and even though I did have follow-up for the next turn, which it did come back to me, I still felt very safe with just this on the board because I did end up burning it for 400. So this card was nuts, especially since we're having to use the current time format rules. I definitely think like this is one of the best options. I ran the 3 Ryza. It is a great card, and also I'm very heavy on a lot of the Monarchs, as you see. I also run another big monster too, like a Dark Dust Spirit. But I'll show you like the spells on why I'm able to make all of this work. Otherwise, this would be a little bit too cloggy. Yeah.
Did you not like Light and Darkness Dragon?
Light and Darkness Dragon's a really good card. It does require 2 tributes, which nothing I play is using. The other problem with it is like cards like Quick Draw outs it immediately, Treeborn outs it immediately, and I'm very concerned about those cards. Even though if I can get it to land and stick, it's usually an auto win. It's just something that I just felt like I would have to commit too many resources to sometimes, or it just didn't, or if it didn't work out, it really doesn't work out. 2 Chunk Synchron. You play this just to make synchro plays. I went to the extra deck maybe like 6 or 7 times out of all 9 rounds of Swiss, right? It just doesn't come up. At most, you're making Catastrophe with this and sometimes Magical Android. You kind of end up siding these out for better cards game 2 and 3. Usually I try to leave 1 in just because I like to be able to, you know, brain con and then make something with my enemy's opponent's monster. But outside of that, I mean, it's a good card. It's just, it's not what I would say is the greatest. Next, 3 Battle Fader. Show off the ulti one, obviously. It's just a good card in general. Not super great in like the Christia matchup, but I mean, it's still a great card. A lot of times when my Treeborns got banished, this card came in super clutch because special it, and then I can go into my Monarch plays, and then sometimes I will just chain the Monarchs over one another, Caius into Ryza, and that's just pretty hard to beat in general. So this card definitely saved me a lot and won me a lot of games too. And it was really good in any of the aggressive matchups, which I've been seeing all day. There were so many Value Turbos, so many Dragons. It's just a good card to have.
Cool.
And then I think last but not least, Gorse. That's just obviously a good card. Especially whenever you normal summon your Swap Frog, then you bring it back for cost. You have an open field, they attack into you, you special, and you're already at an advantage.
No Trag?
No Trag. It's a good card, but I feel like I'm already running enough monsters, and I just feel like I never got enough value out of Trag. So I feel like I'd rather just be drawing into like Monarchs and other things.
Awesome.
And then for the spells, run 2 Soul Exchange. Great card, especially if you lose the dice roll. A lot of times you see just like people set and then pass. You know, just what I'll even do is like I'll see Soul Exchange and Dark Dust Spirit. I'll Soul Exchange their card. I'll set Dark Dust Spirit, and I'll follow for the next turn. Econ's probably one of the greatest cards in the whole entire deck. Unfortunately, you end up siding it out games 2 and 3 because all your frogs get banished. But that's how it is. This card, you know, tribute my Treeborn, bring it back. I take a monster, I tribute theirs off. You get so much value. Just a great card. Then for the one-ofs, I have Brain Con, Scapegoat. Scapegoat's great, especially with Substitute. You can tribute all of these off, and then afterwards go into a Unifrog dupe block. That's just like an instant win almost. MST, Heavy Storm, 1 for 1, gets you into Substitute. And then I ran 4 traps, 3 Regeki Break, and a Mirror Force. Mirror Force is great. A lot of people play around and expect it. It's still a good card to have because it does punish the people who don't.
Yeah.
Regeki Break is probably one of the cards that overperformed. I felt like a lot of times I would go first. I'd see Treeborn in my hand, and I would just set the Regeki Break. I would pass my turn. They would go ahead and do like T-set pass. End phase, I pop it. I send the Treeborn to grave. I follow up the next turn, and they're losing tempo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's the main deck. It's 40 cards.
Let's get on to the extra deck.
Extra deck. I feel like I should do the side deck because there's a couple options that it's going to be a little weird in there in the extra deck that you'll see why I ran.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, in the side, I ran 2 Sirocco. I went against 2 Blackwings. I didn't see it the second time I played against Blackwings, but the first time I did. This card was pretty great. I swung in for, like, it clears everything, right? Yeah. So I think I swung in for like 6,000 damage over a 2,000 attack Sirocco at one point. It was pretty ridiculous. It's just a good card to have. I feel like this is probably arguably, like, I don't know, sometimes not the greatest card. I may want to change this out because I just didn't like, you know, using my normal summon on it, but I still did like it. It was a nice aggressive option. 3 Crow. This probably came in almost every game 2 and game 3. It's just a great card. It's super flexible. Hits Avarices, hits Debris Dragon. I mean, whatever you need, Bayous, etc. So obviously
probably
good.
The best hand trap in Edison. Really,
yeah, like it was just hard for me to find a game where I didn't want to have this in there. At minimum 2 copies. 3 Vanity's Fiend. Great card. Hardest thing with it is there's just a lot of back row in this format and removal, so I just have a lot of issues with getting it to stick sometimes. Especially it stops my own Treeborn plays too. Yeah. So it's not like I can, you know, keep being the aggressor. But this card is good. So either you have an answer for it or you don't. And it won me a lot of games, especially like against the Amaryllis Burn. Once I got this out, they didn't have a response. Swing, game.
Did you play the guy that got third place?
Yeah. He was my first loss.
Okay.
So he got me. That was just not a great matchup for me. I feel like going into it, I just didn't have aggressive enough plays to be able to follow up. And straight off the bat, he saw his 3 Amaryllis get like dumped into the grave incredibly fast and then followed up with more plants. So it was difficult. So I run something a little bit different. I do run a little bit of a trap lineup. A lot of people don't really expect this. They always kind of side out all their MSTs and things like that. Or maybe they'll just only keep 1 or not side in more back row removal. So I did run a small trap lineup. This was actually pretty huge because the second people started realizing I'm starting to play like dim prizzes and other things, they started switching up their strategy a lot more, even though I only run 1 of each, right? So it really definitely was a really good call, I feel like.
Yeah, and a lot of people side out their back row hate against you. Like a Heavy Storm and MST, they side those out against frogs. Yeah,
so like that's why I think these are just great calls to put into the side deck, and they ended up winning me a lot of games. Torrential is just a ridiculous card. They drop something, I torrential the board, and I'm usually back in control. And then 2 Dust Tornado, which came in every single game 2 and 3. I hard lose to a lot of spell traps.
Yeah.
If I get Masker Restricted, it's just kind of a game. So
yeah, Dust Tornado was pretty good this weekend.
Yeah. This is kind of a spicy tech, and it didn't come up at all. I didn't play against any heroes I put 2 Super Poly in.
Hey.
Yeah. I was really excited for this. I really wanted to work out, get an absolute zero out, things of that nature. Would have been really fun, but 9 rounds, no heroes, which was honestly insane to me. But yeah, then I'll show you the extra deck. So Super Poly targets, 2 Ab Zero.
Yep.
Then 1, I don't even remember the name of this, Super Alloy Beast. This one's super situational. It'll probably almost never come up, but if it does, it's going to be the greatest thing ever against Hero Beat. I'm just hoping it happens more often. I had this pop up on Dueling Book like one time, and then it just felt so good. And I have the extra deck space considering I only run the 2 junk Synchrons. I was just like, I don't really use the extra deck. And then Ab Zero, which is just a great card in general. You get so much value in the standby phase, especially your Treeborn. You fuse off, bring back Treeborn, then you could do a Monarch play on top of that. Or you can even tribute the Absolute Zero, and then it'll go Chainlink 1, then Chainlink 2, whatever your Monarch is, to dodge a Starlight Road, which is absolutely a bananas play. And then afterwards, it's just kind of more like the standards.
Yeah, you can just go through it.
Yeah.
Like, I think everybody knows what these cards do, but... Did you go into your extra deck a lot, or...?
Not really.
Yeah.
5, 6, 7 times, maybe at most. I mean, I don't know. I mean, never came up. I thought about going to it once.
Yeah.
This is a cool card, but just I feel like it's too situational. Really, pretty much, you only go into these 2.
Yeah.
And then everything else is, you know, just the standard. But yeah, that's pretty much how it went. I got 34th in the end. Still pretty happy with the results.
That's good.
Thought I played really well. Yeah, that's everything.
Yeah, man. Well, this has been Atil with this Frogmonarch deck. He day 2 got top 64 in the end. So congratulations, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, shout outs to Donish, shout outs to Dakota, shout outs to Sharuk. Thanks for helping me practice.
Where's Dakota at?
Dakota? I don't think he's gonna be here today. Yeah.
Big pussy. Okay.
But yeah, no, cool man.
Go ahead,
Appreciate it.
guys. Comment, like, subscribe. Peace out.